Yes, welcome back again to yet another Sharpe show. Literally two in a day. What is going on? Yes, it is actually happening. It's about 7:30 p.m. on the East Coast on a Friday evening. So I am here with a very specific conversation. There was one earlier specific. I'm being specific again. And this one is specifically talking about the Republican and Democratic primaries for the governor race in New York State. If you are a New Yorker, I know many of you who support me or follow me or watch me in any way, shape, or form. I know many of you are still either registered Democrats or registered Republicans. About 25% of the people who follow me or vote for me, at least I know, are registered Democrats. And about 50% are probably registered Republicans. So I know a lot of people who are registered as another group do vote for me and support me and write and watch. So if you are that, and if you are planning to vote in the primaries in Tuesday in New York, I want to talk to you about that. What I think is going to be best for you, who you should be deciding to vote for and how, and what I think matters in general and what you should be concerned about. I'm going to start with I think the Republicans where I'll start. I'll start with Republicans. For those who don't know, there are four Republicans running. There is Giuliani, Astorino, Giuliani, Wilson, and Zeldin. I'll cover them all in a second. But those are the people who are running right now in Republican primary. And for the background that you guys may not know is Lee Zeldin is a congressman from, literally, a congressman from Long Island. And he was the front runner without question, had raised $8 million before anybody else had raised anything. He had dominated everything. He tried to make sure that there was no primary, right? So he got all of the Republicans to get together and nominate him as their guy. And then all the other Republicans had to go out and get signatures so they could actually get on the ballot for the primary. They forced a primary. So Lee Zeldin was the guy. He raised all the money, did all the stuff, establishment guy. That did not go as planned. So now he has other people also out there trying to make things happen. Now, please, if you think this is important and there's value, then like, comment, and share. I said every time, I keep saying it does matter. Don't stop doing it. Let other people know. In fact, if you have a Republican group that this should be in, put it in that group. Share this in a Republican group and say, Larry Sharpe is talking about the Republicans for next week, right? And then later on, do Democrats. You can then share it in Democratic groups if you're part of any Democratic groups. I'm going to be honest as I possibly can be with what I think is important to you. And I'm going to try to not just be their commercials and give you real issues and what's going on. So please do that. And of course, my sponsors, World's Smallest Political Quiz, The Advocates. Click that link. Share that in there too. Maybe they'll see if they're more libertarian than they may think they are. That would always be a good thing. So yes, absolutely. So let me kind of go down there if I could for each one. The first one is Astorino. Now, Astorino, that's not a bad guy. Some of you may know him. He's not a bad guy. He is a former county executive in Westchester. But I'm going to rate them in three different areas, which I think is important for the Republicans. If you are a Republican and you want your Republicans to do well, there are three things you should be concerned about. Number one, rallying the base. The thing that most Republicans don't realize is that a lot of Republicans, particularly in upstate New York, don't vote. In certain areas, it's only 1 in 6 that vote. So few. They think, why bother? Because it states 3-1 Democrat, Republican. So many of them don't bother voting. So if you are a Republican, one thing you got to be concerned about is, can you rally your base and get Republicans in New York State to get out and vote? A lot of them have just given up and don't vote. That's piece one. Piece two, crossover. Can you get pissed off Democrats to vote for you, right? The state's 3-1 Democrats, Republican. So clearly you got to get some Democrats to vote for you if you're going to win an election. So do you have any crossover? Is there anything that a candidate could cross over against some pissed off Democrats to vote for them? And last, which sounds horrible when I made it last, but this is real politique, is principle. Is the person a principled Republican as you would see Republicans? So I'd rate them in three ways: rallying the base, crossover, and principle. Now, when I go to Astorino, Rob Astorino, as I said, the former executive for Westchester, on principle, this guy's the most principled of all people running, without question. If you know him, he is. He is a real conservative in heart and soul. He is fiscal conservative, he is the guy. Without question, he's that. If you're looking for principle, if that matters to you as a Republican, I can't see you not going with Astorino. I mean, that's the guy. If you are principled, you care about the Republican Party in principle. He's a top guy, proven, shown it, never backs down on it. That's the guy he is. Now, when it comes to rallying the base, not so much. Not so much. He does not rally the base well at all. They don't come out from as much as they could. It's okay. I would rate him as a 10 for principle and about a 6 or 7 for rallying the base. It's not his skill set, right? He isn't as charismatic as he could be. So he doesn't have that. Crossover, very little crossover. Very little crossover. He is an open and conservative. He is pro-life, the whole deal. A lot of Democrats who are pissed off, many of them are not going to want to vote for him. So his crossover is maybe a 4 or a 5. It's not great. His advantages of him is he has experience, which is awesome, and he's got a calm demeanor, which is amazing. His downsides, he's dry. He is. He doesn't rally the base as well. He's dry. He's also kind of old school, which means his crossover isn't very great. But last, which is what Lee Zeldin brought up, is he's lost his last 3 elections. So a lot of Republicans see him as a why bother, can't win loser. So the good and the bad of Astorino, I would rate him 10 principle, 6, maybe 7 rallying the base, 4 for crossover is how I'd rate him. He has good experience and demeanor, but he's dry, old school Republican. A lot of people consider him a loser. But if principle is what you care about most as a Republican, if I was Republican, I'm not voting in the election. I'm not a Republican. But if you were, I would say he's your guy. The next one's Andrew Giuliani. On principle, people think he's principled. He isn't that principled. I don't mean to insult him, but he's a populist. He's a Trump supporter, openly and positively. So if you're worried about populism and the MAGA crowd and that, he's your guy. But that doesn't always cross over into Republican principle that makes sense. He's much more of a populist. If you're about being a populist, this guy is your guy. With that in mind, well, I would only rate him maybe a 6 or a 7 on principle. Rallying the base, Giuliani is a master. Giuliani's at least a 9 at rallying the base. When he comes out, people are ready to go. They jump up and down. He gets Republicans to want to show up. He is a proud Trumpster Giuliani guy, and the base shows up for him. He rallies the base more than anybody. If you're saying to yourself, look, I don't care what else happens. I think I want people to come out and vote. I want to rally the base. If that's your key, Giuliani's your guy. Without question. That guy rallies the base better than all the other 4. Without question. He gets people going. He's got some charisma. He's forward. He's funny. He's the guy. If you're a Republican and you want to rally the base, Giuliani is your guy. His downside is his crossover. He is such a heavy Trump supporter that Democrats are not going to want to vote for him. His crossover is maybe a 2 or a 3 out of 10. He's not going to have much crossover. You're going to have to get every single Republican to vote for him, and like no Democrats show up. Otherwise, he has no chance. And I think actually before all 4 of them have no chance. But still, what do you care about? If you want to rally the base, Giuliani's your guy. The advantage he has is Trump and Giuliani. That's an advantage in the Republican primary. It totally is. He's got charisma and he shows strength. So that's a big advantages. The disadvantage he has is the same thing. Full-on Trump supporter. If you're looking for crossover, not going to happen in New York State. And he has a lack of experience. He's seen as being young and or naive. Even though he worked for the president, that's how he's seen. So the strength is that, and that's also a weakness in a way. So again, if principle is your number 1, Astorino is your guy. If rallying the base is your number 1, Giuliani is your guy. The next guy is Harry Wilson. Harry Wilson is a businessman, right? He's a businessman out of Westchester. He wasn't going to run, then decided to run, then decided he's going to start doing stuff. He ran before, like in 2010 or something, for something or other. I forgot what he ran for. Maybe it's like AG or something, or comptroller, something like that. When it comes to principle, he's a pretty principled Republican, right? I'd rate him a 7 or an 8. He's a pretty principled Republican. But he's not a hardcore conservative, if that makes any sense. He's not a hardcore conservative. That's not who he is. So principle is decent. He's good, solid Republican, but not a good, solid conservative. Therefore, rallying the base, not great. Wilson does not rally the base well at all. If he's going to do anything here, he's going to have to grab a Giuliani behind him somehow to rally the base because he's not doing it at all. His big advantage is crossover. When it comes to getting pissed off Democrats, Republicans, Wilson's your guy. If you think, as a Republican, the most important thing, you don't care that much about principle, you don't care that much about rallying the base, you care more about getting angry Democrats to vote for somebody, Wilson is your guy. That guy has crossover power. But that's it, right? His advantages are he has experience as a businessman, good advantage. Disadvantage is he's got low charisma and low energy. Wilson is not an exciting guy, low charisma, low energy. Giuliani's the opposite. Giuliani has high energy, high charisma. Wilson has low charisma, low energy. And for a lot of Republicans, Wilson's not Republican enough. The attack on him is he's a moderate never-Trumper. And that's not going to be strong for Republicans. But you have to decide, as a Republican, if you are a Republican and you're voting for these people, what do you care more about? Again, principle, you got to go Astorino. Rallying the base, you got to go Giuliani. Crossover, got to go Wilson. That's really what it is. It's literally that simple if those things are important to you. The last guy is Lee Zeldin. Sadly for Lee, he's got almost none of this. He's not very principled. Supported Cuomo, supports whoever, flip-flops. He's not very principled, and he doesn't have any policies. He yells a lot of stuff, like he yells back to blue and stuff, but he's not really very principled. He doesn't rally the base well. The way he does it is through cash, right? But he personally does not rally the base very well at all, and his crossover is non-existent. He's aggressive, not so he does virtually no crossover. Now, to be forward, he does have more crossover than Giuliani. More crossover than Giuliani. So I'd probably rate him about a 4 or 5 in everything. He's a mediocre candidate across the board. But what advantage does Zeldin have, and why do I think he's probably going to win? Because he's got two things. Lots and lots of money. Zeldin's raised something like $10 or $12 million. I forgot how much, but tons of money. And he has absolute establishment recognition. So Conservative Party recognizes him. Republican Party recognizes him. He can get Mike Pence to show up at an event. I mean, people, all the NRA endorsed him, all the endorsements, all the endorsement, all the cash. That's his advantage, which is a big one. The disadvantage, though, is he's not exciting. He's always obviously trying too hard, right? That's the issue. Where I'll go back to someone like Wilson, who, while Wilson is kind of dull and low charisma, he's not trying too hard. He's just not that exciting. Giuliani is not trying too hard. He's being himself, and he's popping all over the place. So that's a good thing for Giuliani. And Astorino is calm and cool, and he's very confident, right? The person who's the least confident and always trying too hard is Zeldin. He's probably, to be forward with you guys, if again, this is specific for people who are registered Republicans in New York State. If you're going to be voting in the primary, that's my view on that. I don't know why you'd. I guess you'd vote for Zeldin if you thought that money matters. I'll go there. If you think principle matters most, I would go Astorino if I were you. If you think rallying the base matters most, I would go Giuliani. If you think crossover is most important, I would go Wilson. If you think cash is king, I guess Zeldin's your guy. That's all I could say for the Republicans. So, by the way, if you know any Republicans, feel free to send this over to them. It's my view. I hope it's helpful for you guys. Now, the Democrats. If you are a Democrat, now some of you are registered Democrats, and you'll be voting in the primary on Tuesday. It is my opinion that the three things that matter for Democrats are, one, uniting the left, right? For them, they want to unite the left. They don't want the far left to walk away, and they don't want moderate Democrats to walk away or not show up, right? Their worry is moderate Democrats don't show up to vote, or the far left doesn't show up to vote. That's their worries. So Democrats want to unite the left. The second thing that's similar to it is they want to make sure they hold on to annoyed Democrats, and there are lots of them, and then be able to get any annoyed Republicans, right? So if there are any Republicans who are mad at, say, the Supreme Court rulings, can the Democrats grab them? That's going to be what they're going to try to do, right? That's their goal. And lastly, Democratic principles. Again, same thing. Sorry, it's last, but yes. So there are three people running: our current governor, Kathy Hochul, a congressman out of Long Island, Tom Suozzi, and Jumaane Williams, who is the the public advocate of New York City, which is basically the same as a lieutenant mayor or vice mayor in New York City, is called the public advocate. When it comes to Kathy Hochul, the one thing she does pretty good is she tends to unite the left together because she does handout, handout, handout. That's what she does. Kathy Hochul gives out handouts to everybody. And because she hands out to everybody, she tends to unite the left decently, right? So she's not bad at that. I'd give her an 8 maybe even on that. She's actually pretty good at that. That's her skill set. Grabbing pissed off Republicans and Democrats, she is not good at. She does not have good charisma. That's not something she's good at. So she struggles and she worries that even pissed off Republicans still won't vote for her, right? And Democrats who are annoyed will probably stay home because she doesn't do a very good job of grabbing them at all, right? So that's not a good thing. But she can unite the establishment units together very easily. Principal, mediocre. She does what she thinks is correct. She's very much Cuomo-esque in this regard, right? Very much Cuomo-esque. She does what's required, when required, however is required. That's what she does. So principal, maybe a 5. Grabbing other people, maybe a 5. Uniting is pretty good. So if you're concerned about uniting and keeping the established Democrats together to make sure they just keep winning, if you're a Democrat, you care about that, and you're happy with the state. I don't know why you're watching me if you are, but if you are, Kat Hochul's your person, of course. What are her strengths? She's known. She's got tons of cash. She has raised about $22 million. Tons of cash. And the biggest thing for her is she has establishment connections throughout the entire state. I mean, this is absolutely her biggest advantage. Her disadvantages: 1, she's not likable. And 2, she's linked to Cuomo. That's where she fails without question in that regard. She is not likable and she's linked to Cuomo. Absolutely. The next person is Tom Suozzi. Uniting. Decent at uniting, but not great. Not great. And the problem is the far left, doesn't see him as a true believer. The far left does not see him as that. So that's why he's not great at uniting. However, is he good at grabbing pissed off Democrats and Republicans? Yes. This is his strength. If you're saying, you know what, I would like to, the Democrats that are being pissed off by how bad the state's run, I don't want them to stay home. If you're a Democrat, I want them to vote Democrat. Okay, Tom is your guy. They will come out for him because he can get the people who are pissed off. If Republicans think, I can't win, why bother? I'm pissed off at the Republicans for whatever, then they might vote for him too. So when it comes to grabbing pissed off Republicans, and when it comes to dealing with pissed off Democrats, Suozzi is a guy that people could actually go to. So he does have that ability. Principal, he's a decent principled Democrat. He's a bit more of an old school Democrat, but he is a decent principled Democrat. He cares about things like, I was rated so-and-so by the environmental this or that. So if you're a Democrat like those things, this is not a bad thing. His strengths are he's moderate, he's strong and charismatic. That's great. But his bad parts, if you're a Suozzi person, is low name recognition. People don't know who he is. And the far left sees him as Republican light. They think he's Republican light. So you're going to have trouble with the far left if you vote Tom Suozzi because they don't really like him that much. So, yeah. When it comes to the last guy, Jumaane Williams is actually decent at uniting. He's decent at it. Not great, but decent at it. He's able to bring the far left in very easy. That's one of his strengths. He can bring the far left in very easy. But more moderate Democrats, he's going to struggle a bit, but not that bad because he's decently known. He's got a good story. So can he grab pissed off Democrats? Not as good as Tom, because there's no way pissed off Republicans vote Jumaane Williams. He's far too left for pissed off Republicans to vote for him. But there is a pissed off Democrat section which thinks Kathy Hochul's not left enough. That group of people would happily go to Jumaane Williams. So he can grab the far left in a heartbeat. That's what Jumaane Williams' strength is. He can grab the far left. And because of that, he is seen as very principled. I would say of all three of them, the most principled, probably an 8 or a 9. He is very principled, and he's like all about it. If you remember in debates, they were like, so will you, do you want to pay for the abortions of women coming and pay for them to come in? He was like, yes, yes, and yes. Doubles down, triple down on it. You know exactly what you're getting when it comes to someone like Jumaane Williams. So I would say he's high on principle, decent at grabbing the far left, uniting he's okay at it. The advantage he has is here's my story. Great story. A guy who has Tourette's and still became, a public figure. He's in the streets with people. He knows him. He's charismatic. That's an advantage he has. The disadvantage Jumaane has is he's a far left guy, and he's very much seen as a downstater. Like even Democrats upstate are going to go, he's a city guy. He's so obviously a downstater for many people. The way he speaks, what he says, he's very much a downstater. So I think that's a disadvantage. If you are a Democrat next week and you're voting in the primary, if you just think uniting the establishment and keeping the state going the way it is, I don't know why you'd be watching this show if you feel that way, but if you do, Hochul is the person to vote for you next Tuesday without question. If you're saying, no, I would instead like to be able to grab and go a little bit more towards the right, get Republicans back on our side, be like more like that, Tom Suozzi's your guy. If you're like, you know what? This state's not left enough. We got to go far left. We got to go principled, left socialism. Boom. Jumaane's your guy, if that's who you think. Again, don't know why you'd be watching this program, but that's fine. That's it. I think I gave you what I thought was a realistic response to the people running next week. And again, I'm not in a primary, so it doesn't affect me. If you are, since we don't have open primaries in New York State, I can't vote in a primary on Tuesday because I'm not a Democrat or Republican. But if you are a Democrat or Republican, I think I do this because I don't want you to think, as I always say, I don't want you to think that I want you to vote only to vote for me. People say that and they really mean vote for them. I really want you to vote. Would I rather you vote for me? Of course. But if I can't get you to vote, I can't get you to vote for me. So if you get out there and vote, you're now part of the solution. Now I can convince you to vote for me. So I want you voting, preferably for me. But if not, I want you to vote anyway. To be forward, does it matter to me who wins next Tuesday? No, not really. I mean, I got to run against whoever. If I had to guess, it's going to be Hochul and Zeldin. That's my guess. So I'm not sure, right? But that's my guess. But if people get that Lee Zeldin is probably actually the weakest candidate of all, then I could see Astorino or Giuliani winning. My gut would say if it's not Lee Zeldin, if it doesn't happen, I think it will be Giuliani. And I say that because this is a primary. And as I mentioned, rallying the base, nobody's better than Giuliani at rallying the base. And the base is who votes, right? In primaries. The base votes in primaries. So my gut says it's either Lee Zeldin or Giuliani. If you care about principle, you should be voting Astorino. Just saying, if you care about principle. If you care about rallying the base and getting Republicans out voting, Giuliani's the best at that. So I think it'll be one of those two if it's not Zeldin. Zeldin has all the cash. He is a guy who's he's an establishment guy, full of cash. That's what he is. I got tons of money and I'm an establishment guy. That's Zeldin. He doesn't have any other power to him besides that. Sadly, that's an important power to have, but that's what he has. And when it comes to Democrats, I can't see Hochul losing. I mean, maybe she could, but I can't see her losing. And only because, again, same thing as Lee Zeldin. She has the money. She has the established connections. She's on TV. She's got so much. I would bet that there's a chunk of New York Democrats upstate who don't even know who Tom Suozzi is. Don't even know he hasn't been able to make that happen. And of those people downstate who would love Jumaane Williams, upstate, he's not very well known relative to New York City. So you'd have to have New York City dominate the Democratic primary and then all vote for Jumaane Williams. So I guess it could happen. My gut says Kathy Hochul. If not Kathy Hochul, by some miracle, it'll be Jumaane Williams. I do not see Tom Suozzi win this thing at all. I could be wrong. If we had open primaries, this would all change. If we had open primaries where people could go to where they want to go, you might see this change. You might see someone like maybe a Tom Suozzi or a Harry Wilson actually win this thing. I think that could happen in theory. Let me grab a couple comments if I could. I appreciate you guys. I know this is a little bit of a boring show, but I specific because we have it next week. I did the abortion show earlier, so now I want to do one that's specific to just this. Sam says, "Oh my God, I got a notification. First one in months. Oh my God, could the shadow ban be lifting, or are you guys liking and commenting and sharing enough? Please don't stop. Please like, comment, share. It absolutely does matter. 100%. Yes. Thank you so much for that. And not only like, comment, share, but you can support me. LarrySharpe.com/donate if you want to. And of course you can, if you don't want to give any cash, no worries. You can instead support the world's smallest political quiz. Click that link, send it out there. It's the advocates.org. They're a show sponsor. They help us out. Please, if you could make that happen, that would be awesome. So thank you for that. All right, let me grab a couple more if I could. Joel says, I like the Republican candidates in alphabetical order. It's funny that you say that, right? Fair tax, of course, right? I think that Astorino is the most principled Republican running, to be forward. I think that's and Zeldin's the least principled one. So you've hit it perfectly. Yes, absolutely. A to Z. Triple header. Yes, but you don't know, I was on RTVI today. Also around 5 o'clock today. You can check them out if you want to on YouTube. RTVI. I was on that today. If you guys want to watch that, it was a discussion about the abortion and gun issues in New York State. So please, of course. So John says, libertarianism and the advocates, share them. Yes, absolutely. Yes, please. 100%. The Libertarian Moribund Institute says, how about sharing this stuff in Georgia circles? Go ahead. Everywhere. Please. Share everywhere you want. 100%. Yes. Rocky Man says, Trump is weak on the Second Amendment. Is anybody not weak on the Second Amendment right now? Oh my God, we got Republicans and Democrats trying to trash the Second Amendment right now. The court seems to be on our side. It seems to be on our side. So we'll see how that works. Let's hope that works. But yeah, who isn't? I would agree with you, but I'm just saying, who isn't? Yes. Brandon says, I like Giuliani because he seems charismatic. I agree completely. He is. Now, to be forward with you guys, if you guys are Giuliani supporters, don't be mad at me. I'm just telling you my opinion. I feel like people still don't take him seriously enough yet. That's my feeling. I get. Like, they don't take him seriously enough yet. So I feel like he needs, like, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 years to kind of get that feeling of that and then hit it hard, because he's got charisma, that's for sure. And he's believable. Like, he just says who he is and what he is. People teased him about, what are you on your father's name, whatever. He's like, I love my father's name. I love Trump. I'm in. Yeah. He didn't even hesitate. He's like, yes, absolutely. So yeah, I like that. Brandon also goes on, who are the Democratic candidates again? I named them all, so I hope that was clear. Yes. Ryan says, a duopoly certainly recognizes him. Yes, that is, yes, 100%, Ryan. And establishment, sadly, particularly in New York State, really matters. It matters in many states, but not all, but 100% in New York. Absolutely. Anthony says, Larry, why are you shooting for governor on your first, second go round instead of a lower level government position like a county exec? Why would I? How does my party get ballot access? Governor. If I win some local election, does it help the party? No. Does it help in the No. Does it change the state? No. I become another cog in the wheel. Doesn't help me at all. Plus, for me to win a local election, why would I? If I have the time, energy, and power at the moment to run a statewide election, why would I run a smaller one? I should run a smaller one if I don't have the time, energy to go do the bigger one. I have it. Why wouldn't I? Right? I have the ability to do so now. I should do so. So, of course. And the impact that's made on governor is massive. Even if I come in second, even if I come in third, I come in second or third in some local election, I just threw people's money away. I just threw money away. Anthony, I care very much. If people think like I'm always out running, I'm not. I have only run twice, this time and the time before. And both times I ran is when I thought I could absolutely get impact. And I did make impact last time. If you remember, we got ballot access. We had 100 and some odd victories the year after. We were rocking and rolling. We made some impact. The state crushed us, as the state always does, but we made impact. So I wanted people to realize that when I run, I'm serious and I'm going to make some impact. You should support me and you should donate your time and your money because I'm doing it. So that's why. So thank you for the question. That's why. So, all right. Anthony then goes on, got to be the Dems at all costs. Well, Anthony, let me be very forward with you. When it comes to a statewide election in New York State, the only way we beat Democrats is if an outsider wins. And I'm the only outsider. So either I win or Democrats win. There is no way Republican wins in this state. It's not in the statewide election. Not going to happen. Anyone who tells you that is either delusional or lying. They're not going to win. It's impossible. No way. So the only way to do it, if you believe that, then you should have all your Republicans put their money towards me. Then we'll beat them. If I was able to raise $8 million, $12 million, these guys, I'd be the governor. If any of you think I'm joking, if I raised $8 million, I win this election. Not even joking. I win the election if I could raise $8 million. Last time I raised $500,000, which is good, but not compared to these guys. So yes, absolutely. So Joel says, I like none of the Democratic candidates. You're not alone, Joel. You are not alone. Yes. Then he says, I'm still pretty surprised Hochul has the support she gets. Her blatant hypocrisy should be enough for more people to be questioning her motives. I think you're right, Danny, and I think people do question her motives. I think they do. The issue, as I mentioned, is she has the establishment by giving them all gifts. She basically gifts them all things. She's always giving out jobs, giving out cash. So the establishment, it's tough to not support somebody, Danny, who's writing you checks. It's hard. I mean, some people could do it, but man, it's hard. If I'm giving you a job, I'm giving you checks, I'm having you stand up and talk trash in the media, hard for you to not support me, is all I'm saying. And she does that very well. So that's her strength. So I think that's why she winds up getting the support. So yeah. So Rory says, Hochul's Cuomo and drag. You know, actually, I'm going to give credit where credit is due. Cuomo had more charisma. That's all I'm saying. Cuomo has more charisma. Yes, that's what I would say. More charisma. There we go. I'm trying to be good, Rory. See, I'm being good. I said something nice. There we go. Yes. John says, William is a solid 8 principal, but has no crossover. Bingo. You are correct, John. On the money. That's accurate. That's accurate. If you're a hardcore Democrat, particularly if you're a more hard left Democrat, Williams is your guy. You should be voting for him. He is absolutely your guy. 100%. So there we go. Let's see. Brandon says Suozzi believes in safety nets. He does. He's a much more moderate Democrat. Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. All right. Let's see here. I grab a couple more. Paula says Hochul's not going to win. Really? The Republicans are going to lose. Hence, only Larry can beat her. Ooh, I like that. There we go. Paula is correct. Do what she says. Absolutely. Yes. Ryan says, only 8 million? We got this. Exactly. That's all we need. 8 million. We're good. Yes. William says, how on earth did Pataki win all those years ago? It was 20 years ago. That's a different New York. That's a different New York. In the past 12 years, since Cuomo, we've lost over 2 million New Yorkers. In those 10 years, New York has gone from bluish, purple blue, to deep blue, and Florida went from purple to red. What happened? They all went to Florida. Migration is what happened, William. That's what happened. That's how Pataki won back then and cannot win now. Yes, absolutely. 100%. So, Dave says, in March 2024, we can hope. We can hope. Paula continues, Giuliani is way more likable than Zeldin. I agree. I mean, I know him. I've met him. We talk. He knows who I am. We've talked before. He's actually charismatic. I'm being forward, right? I'm not a Republican. I can't vote. Not going to vote for him. But you're right. He's charismatic. People like him. When he's in the street, people are shaking his hand. I mean, he is charismatic. It's true. Giuliani does not have a chance, the chance you have against Kennedy. That's true. But he would do better than Zeldin, I think. If you give Giuliani Zeldin's money, see, there's the issue. If Zeldin loses the primary, does he give the money? Does he support Giuliani with that cash, either via through a PAC or directly or somehow? Or does he keep the money and walk away? Right? I think for Zeldin, this is a money grab. Right? For all you Republicans who gave money to Zeldin, he just stole your money. He's not going to win. He's not going to make impact. You'll never see him again. He's going to take the money and run. Maybe he'll start a law firm or go become a pundit on Fox News or something. I don't know, but you're never going to see him again. He's going to take your money and run. That's what they all do. That's what he's going to do. Me, at least, I'm still here, right? You see where I'm spending your money, and I'm here still giving you stuff back, right? So that's something. You're investing in me. Him, you just took the money and run. But if he were to give that money to Giuliani, I think you're right. If he doesn't, Giuliani may struggle to raise money. So far, Giuliani has not raised anywhere near as much money as Zeldin has. So, again, Giuliani doesn't have the same establishment connections that Zeldin has. Zeldin has the established connections where he can make some phone calls, do a massive fundraiser at someone's house and raise 100 grand like that, 200 grand like that. He can do that. I wish I could do that. I wish Giuliani could do that. But guys like him can do that easily. They can literally go into a room and walk out with 200 grand. When you can do that, tough to beat that. Very difficult to beat that. So yes. John continues, as cringe as Giuliani is at times, at least the man accepts what he is and uses it to his advantage. Agreed. And people respect that, right? You just say it. That's who I am. Absolutely. Just says it. Done. That's what he says. Yes. All right. Pete goes, haven't seen Democrats as obsessed since we freed the slaves. Oh, man. Pete. Boom, 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 boom. Wow. Nice. I like that. Yes. Paula continues, I got notifications too. Oh, awesome. We'll get notifications. I like that. I wish you had Zeldin's cash, Larry. You'd be governor. There is no doubt. No doubt. And the sad part is people don't understand that. Republicans don't get that. Don't get that. Republicans are always like, hey, Larry, why don't you be our lieutenant governor? Why? So I can lose with you? No. You should have put me on the top of the ticket and I'd win this thing. But they won't do that. So it's fine. They don't want to listen. And I'm okay with that. I will move the liberty movement forward and we will keep going. That's all I'm saying. I will move forward. That's it. The Northern Bennett says there's only one choice for me, and that's Larry Sharpe. Thank you for governor of New York. Absolutely. No other gives me the transparency and principle I prefer. Oh, that's so good. Thank you, guys. I am really trying to do that. I am. I hope you guys see that I'm trying to do this, right? I'm trying to make that happen to the best of my ability. So thank you. All right. Michelle Ann says, I don't think New York City hates Hochul like the rest of us. No, Michelle, I think you're right. They don't hate, but she's not likable. Like if you go to New York City, people aren't going, oh my God, I love Kathy Hochul. Many people, and again, I hate him even saying this, but it goes back to what I actually said. A lot of New York City people really liked Cuomo. He had more charisma, right? Clearly a horrible person. You know I'm not a Cuomo fan. I've been very open with how I feel about the man. I'm just being forward. He had more charisma than Kathy Hochul does, and people in New York City actually liked Cuomo. Remember, they were like, oh, all the stars would show up and hang out with him and stuff. They really did like that. They did. So, yeah. All right. Justin says, I'm a registered Republican. I voted for you last election. Thank you. I hope we can get you in debates. I feel New York hadn't been fair to the Gulf Party. Cuomo discounted you, and though we came up short, I think the impact was strong. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. I'm still going. Absolutely. Yes. Let me keep going down here. Lights 473. Why do libertarians like yourself run knowing you won't win? Is there a point to it? Yes. Oh my God. Thank you for that. I appreciate the question. Absolutely. Now, I don't know I won't win. I think the odds, of course, aren't in my favor. That's clear. I'm not fooling myself. The odds aren't in my favor. However, people like me do win sometimes, right? Back in the 90s, Jesse Ventura became governor of Minnesota. So it does happen sometimes. So absolutely. The reality of it is, in New York State, either Democrats win or an outsider wins. That's how it works. If you think anything else, you're either lying to yourself or delusional or something. It's not how it works. I travel this state every year. I meet people in every single county. People reach out to me all the time. I meet pollsters. I meet politicians. This state is solid blue. Solid blue. So a Republican is not going to win in this state. So we have two options. Accept Democratic leadership for the next 20 years. That's option one. Or two, run as outsiders trying to change the system and move things. Well, Larry, why don't you run inside the Republican Party, inside the Democratic Party? It doesn't work, is why. First off, I could never get the nomination in either party, right? I can't get a nomination in the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. I would never get the nomination. So I'd never get on the ballot. So the only way I can get on the ballot is to run independent. So I can't change the party from inside either party. So I have to run as an independent. That's number one. Number two, if I come in first, the world changes. Oh my God, shakes the world. If Democrats come in first, as normal, no change. But if I come in second, think how that changes stuff. Right now, Democrats are supposed to be about civil liberties. According to them, they talk about how civil liberties and stuff. They're not that, but they're supposed to be, but they're not. Republicans in my state are supposed to be about the Second Amendment, supposed to be about a smaller business, smaller taxes, small business. They're not. So if there's a strong libertarian party, I don't have to have 51%, 15, 30%. They will have to move towards liberty. That's why. The parties right now have no reason to move towards anything. That's why I want them to move. I care about my state. I care about my people. I care about my nation. And I want to start fixing things. Larry, do you think you're going to change the world? I do not. I don't think I'm going to be the guy that saves the world. I don't think so. Can I be the guy that sets it up to be saved? Yes, that I can be. I can be the guy who sets this up for it to be saved. I don't think it will be me. It might be me. Again, you never know. I could be the guy. It's possible. But I'm not planning on that. I'm planning on setting the groundwork. As I said before, I will break a hole. You have to follow me through. I'll break a hole in a system. You guys got to follow me through that hole. Once I break the hole, you got to follow me through. And if you follow me through, we will change things. So I hope I answered your question. Lights? I hope I did. Whether you agree with that, I don't know, but that's what I believe. So yes. So, all right, let me grab a couple more of these if I can. Let's see here. Vincent says, no more voting for the lesser of two evils for me. I seem to get evil every time. Yeah, you're not wrong. Absolutely. You're not wrong. Let's see here. Dave says, to the Democratic and Republican political operatives, now I'm not saying that if Greek Orthodox Christians don't vote for the Greek Orthodox candidate for governor, that they'll be excommunicated. That's cute. I like that. That's cute. That's good. The statistical inference says, yes, and after Roe v. Wade decision today, New York is definitely never voting for a Republican. I got to tell you, the Democratic Party is loving that because Kathy Hochul, that's all she's talking about. She's saving the women and saving the kids and saving the people and saving everybody, keeping everybody safe. That's all she's doing. So, yeah, I think it's a valid point. It's difficult, even more difficult now for Republicans to win. Absolutely, yes. So, following today's close decision, conservatives will not win the gubernatorial elections. Yeah. They lost. All Democrats went across the line today. Larry Sharpe's the best alternative. Hochul's a shoo-in. Republicans, if you're watching, it isn't just me saying this. It isn't just me. This is the reality. Not going to happen, guys. Not going to happen at all. Not going to happen at all. Yes. 99 Rising says, will you be in Fulton/Montgomery County again this year? Fonda, Farrell Beer. Of course I am. I was in Fonda 2 months ago. Yeah, of course. Yes. I have not been able to get out as much as I wanted to because of all the petitioning. And now I'm stuck in literally 3 different lawsuits. I know. Who's suing you, Larry Sharpe? It's Republicans who are suing me. Yes. Why in the world will Republicans be suing me? Why do you think? Republicans do not want me on the ballot. Why aren't Democrats throwing me off the ballot? Because Democrats know they're going to win. They don't care. Democrats didn't care last time either. They were like, I don't care. Let Larry on the ballot. I don't care. We're going to win anyway. I don't care what Larry does. They didn't care at all. Democrats ignored me, didn't challenge my signatures, nothing. Didn't care at all. This time, Democrats went, I still don't care. We're still going to win. I don't care. Didn't challenge my signatures, nothing. Walked right away. Didn't care at all about me. They don't care. They're completely, nothing but hubris. They know they're going to win. They don't care about little cheesy Larry Sharpe. Democrats don't care. Republicans are like, lost their mind that I was running again. Republicans lost their mind that I was running again because their worry is if I'm actually on the ballot, they're worried that I'm going to make them look bad because to be forward, the Republicans aren't Republican enough. They just aren't. You know they aren't. Yes. But so anyway, so those are the people who are beating me up as Republicans, believe it or not. So yeah, let's hope that we're able to get past all these things. I hope so. Yes. The single inference says it's the same thing as Democrats don't want the Green Party on the ballot. They think it takes votes away. They didn't challenge the Green Party. They didn't care. What people don't get is either an outsider wins or the Democrats win. If I'm not on the ballot, the Democrats going to win by 20 or 30 points. They don't care about the Green Party. What's the Green Party going to get? 2%, 3%? They don't care. I mean, Lois Sharpe going to get anything. Maybe get 2, 3%. They don't care. They're going to win by 20, 30 points. They won by 30 points last time. Remember, it's 3-1 Democrats to Republicans with a Republican voting bloc that has given up in New York State and is ready to pack up and leave and go to Florida, go to Texas and Tennessee. That's what you have right now. So, yeah, they don't care about the Green Party. Who cares? They don't care. Yes. So, anyway, John says the hardcore Republicans are for sure convinced they actually have a chance. Yes, I know. I know, John. They actually believe it. Like, no, this is the year. No, it's just, this is the problem, right? Most people, when they go out campaigning, where they actually go is to events run by their party. So when Kathy Hochul goes around, she usually goes to places that are set up by the Democratic, Party of New York. And the same Republicans go to places where the GOP says it. They go to GOP events. So they say, well, I went to every county. Yeah, to every county GOP event or every county Democratic event where everyone is your party and acts like they love you because they're your party. I go to diners. I go to fairs. I meet real people. Literally, I shake the regular farmers' hands. I'm on the street meeting people. I'm not in front of my audience. I'm in front of New Yorkers. So I hear what they say and how they act. And I hear when I talk about, gun rights and they yell at me thinking that I want kids to die. I get yelled at about that. Republicans don't. I do. Because when I have a Second Amendment, I get yelled at. So depending on where I am, right? Depending on where I am, I get yelled at. So yeah, that's how it works. I get it. I'm in front of regular people. And sometimes, some of you have been in my events when I've been yelled at, or you've seen me. It happens. Earlier, I got called a fool. It happens. If you don't want to be insulted, don't do this job. Don't run for office. And speaking of that, you saw how Zeldin couldn't handle the heat in that debate. He got yelled at, and he was not liking it. He was attacked. He didn't like it. And I'm saying to myself, I get that every day, homeboy. What's wrong with you? Oh, my God. So, yes, I think you're right, though, John. People really do. A lot of Republicans really think this is the year because they're around other Republicans and they're all saying, yeah, this is our year. It's not your year, guys. It's not your year. Your year is not coming for like 20 years. It's just not coming. The state's still getting bluer. Go to any event that is filled by mostly conservative or Republican people and ask this question. How many of you are considering moving? Every hand goes up. That's New York State. If you're not gone now, you're gone in 10 years from now. That trend's not changing. It's not. I just see it all the time. So yes, you're correct. They do believe that, and it's terrible. So HTS Disciple says, Larry, it's your time to shine in November. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes. Dave says, I'm shocked. Political parties suing to keep candidates that steal votes they really don't off the ballot. Yes, I know. Well, the worst part is the judges agree. They're like, yeah, keep them off the ballot. They agree. That's the hard part, 100%. Michelle says, that's because you killed the reps in the debate 4 years ago. That's true. You own the debate. I was good. I was good at that. I was. Absolutely. So, all right. Let's see. Dave says, the Democratic candidate for governor with Larry Sharpe not on the ballot will probably get 70% of the vote. You might be right, Dave, particularly with these last two Supreme Court decisions. Yes, literally it is possible for the Republican to lose by 40 points. That could happen. That could actually happen. Yes. Polo says that the New York GOP would lose their minds if you came in second, Larry, and blame you forever. Yes. Not the horrible candidate and campaign. They would blame you forever. I can only hope, Paula. I can only hope that they will do that. That is my hope, that they will do that. I really hope so. Yes. So Ryan says, Republicans, it's your year again to line pockets for nothing. Accurate. Yes, accurate. The Lunar Eclipse says, Larry, make the 2A great again in New York. Kathy Hochul and Mayor Eric Adams are crapping bricks. Ex-cop Adams is supposed to be pro-gun. New York City is ready to Wild Wild West. Yes, that's the funny part. We don't want the New York City to be the Wild Wild West. It is. It's now. 100%. Yes, absolutely. Christian says, will there be a red wave this November across the country? I still think, my opinion, this is not New York now, we're talking the country. I still think Republicans are going to do well this year. I think they still will. I do think it will be muted a bit because of these Supreme Court decisions. I don't think the Supreme Court decisions are going to be as impactful across the state as they will be in New York State. And the reason is New York is a deep blue state. The country isn't deep blue. If that makes any sense, Christian, right? New York State's deep blue. So the Supreme Court decisions will have more impact here in New York State because it will motivate the Democrats to come out and vote. And if all the Democrats vote, there's no chance for Republicans to win. There's not enough Republicans to beat all the Democrats. So that's what I'm saying. Locally, there's no red wave. Locally, Democrats can do well here in New York State because of the Supreme Court. But across the state, the country isn't as anywhere near as blue as New York State is. So I think it'll be muted. I do think muted, but still I think there will be a red wave. I don't think it'll be as big a wave as it would have been without these Supreme Courts. That's my opinion. I think it'll still exist. I don't think it'll be as big. That's my view. So yes. Paula asks, is it too late for Cuomo to jump on the race? It is. There was a lawsuit to get in. He lost his lawsuit too. The judges just told everybody, no. No. You do not get to be on the in the race. You do not get to be on the ballot. No, no, and no. That's what they just told everybody, no. Guys, I want to ask you if you could, I know you're liking and commenting and sharing, if you could support the show by going to the World's Smallest Political Quiz and taking it. If you've taken it already, do me a favor. Take this link right here, this bit.ly link, and share it into other groups on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter or whatever so that other people can take it. It's very interesting, good conversations. Take it with your friends. It's interesting. It's good stuff to do. Please support our sponsors. If you're going to share this one literally in Republican or Democratic groups so they can see, hey, I'm talking about Democrats, Republicans for the primary. And I gave my honest opinion of what I thought was the answer. And we had a conversation. Hopefully it will help somebody to decide, how they can vote or how they should vote for whatever they think is appropriate. And lastly, if you want to support the campaign, please LarrySharpe.com/donate to help me rock and roll to the best of our ability. I really do want to try to raise as much as I can to keep this going to the best of my ability. Guys, thank you so much for this evening. I appreciate those of you who watched me earlier today and then today. I will be taking probably the weekend off unless something else crazy happens. Then I might be doing a weekend show. Otherwise, I might be taking the weekend off. I might go back to Big Brain Sundays. I'm not sure yet. But either way, I will see you all very soon.